Doing today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine. So how was the drive in today?
There's a bunch of traffic, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
Finally, yeah.
Well, how was the weather? Did that I know it's gotten a little warmer today.
Oh yeah. At least the weather was nice, so the drive wasn't too bad.
Okay, good. Um, did you do anything over the weekend?
Oh, nothing much. Just hanging around with my kids, and it's the festivities, so we went to the park and stuff like that.
Okay, getting ready for the fall.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever do anything fun?
We like hit up local fall festivals here and there. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you guys carve pumpkins or anything?
I'm not too good at it, but the kids enjoy it, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot of fun.
Yep.
So, how have things been since our last session?
It's been going well. I've improved. I've seen some improvement in my life. So yeah, it's been going well.
Okay, good. I know that last time we kind of talked a little bit about starting to make goals, and this time you said that you would like to actually set some goals. Is that still correct?
Yes.
Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to touch base on things, how things have been, and how they're going so far. So I know you have kids, and you're pretty close to your kids, and I know that recently your drug use and your alcohol use has been um, a little bit more stronger than it usually is.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know, what kind of plan do you have to make sure your kids are safe during these times when you do turn to drugs and alcohol?
I think my ultimate goal is to like get them safe. So that's that leads me to want to motivates me to want to quit even more. It's their safety because that's very important to me. I love my kids.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I'm just like working towards that goal to like make sure that they're safe and they have a good role model in their life, so that they don't have to fall on the same steps that I have, you know, been trying so hard to like leave for them.
So, when you're using the drugs and alcohol, is this something that you do in the home with the kids, or is this something that you do like outside of the house?
I try not to be around them so they just don't notice it. So
Mhm.
if I do get an urge or something, I try not to be around them. Wait for them to go to school or to go to bed or something. So yeah, I try not to let them see that side of me.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that you are definitely aware of the problem that you're facing and your kids, that you don't want them to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really good start where you realize that. And what plans have you made so far to help with this drug use? So before you came to see me, what were some of the plans that you had in your mind?
Like seeing like motivational speaking, reading books, and joining other people who were going through the same thing as I was. Just to get some accountability, because
Mm-hmm.
that always helps when you're not the only one going through something
Yeah.
like that. So just talking to people about it, getting informed on different ways on how to stop, getting educated, and stuff like that.
Okay, wow. It sounds like you have a lot of good plans in place that you really want to see achieved. Do you have any goals right now around drug use, and how will you see when those have been achieved?
My goal is to, eventually quit altogether for, my kids and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they can have a good role model and I can, be there for them in the long run because, doing drugs isn't good, obviously, but I want to see them grow up,
Yeah.
and be in their lives as much as possible. So yeah, that's my ultimate goal is to just completely get rid of it out of my system and to be there for my kids.
Okay. Those are some pretty strong goals.
Yeah.
And what are some things that might get in the way after you make these plans and make these goals? What are some things, like everyday things in your life, that might get in the way?
I guess just stress. I feel like that's the biggest, thing that brings me back to that is like
Mm-hmm.
being stressed and, going through life and stuff. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things to make me fall back into that. And I feel like I would need to like find an extra hobby or something to get my mind off
Yeah.
of that. So yeah, just normal everyday life things.
Okay. Is there anything else that might get in the way of that?
Um, as of now, I don't have anything in mind. Just like stress and like being a mom is super stressful.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, sometimes even if I find like an outlet, and sadly that has been my outlet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think it's awesome that you have found the time to manage your kids and manage coming in here to try to get help. And I really think that it seems like you have a really strong motivation to try to get help for this.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else you would like me to know about your problem?
Sure.
If not, it's okay. I mean, we've had a couple of sessions
Yeah.
before, so.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing really good now, and hopefully I continue to be better and better every day that passes. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you kind of a strange question, so you might need to use your imagination a little bit here with me.
Okay.
But so let's say that tonight, when you go to bed, a miracle happens, and the miracle is that the problem that you came in for today, so your drug use or anything else that you came in for, it's gone when you wake up. But you don't know a miracle took place because you were asleep. So what are some things that you wake up in the morning that would look different that would let you know that the problem's gone?
Well, I guess just waking up and not feeling like the urge to fall back to drugs and alcohol whenever, any problem arises in my day-to-day life. And, being happy around my kids and them seeing the change and being happy being with me and just like seeing how they react to me not being like in control of like drugs and alcohol and stuff. So I think that would be the biggest change that I would notice if that miracle were to occur.
Okay, so what would your kids notice that's different?
I guess like a change in my attitude. They would probably notice that I wouldn't get irritated as much, or they'd just see me as like a happier person.
Okay, yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, it sounds like you have a really good idea of what you would like your life to look like after all of this. So, before we get started with making your goals, I wanted to make with you what we call an ego map. So, I'm going to put your name right in the middle of this. So, Nancy, this is your world right here. And just around your world in different circles, I want you to write all of the different things in your life, all of the different relationships, all of the different things that cause you stress or different hobbies or anything you can think of in your world that's important to you. I want you to put on here.
Okay.
And maybe if these things are more relevant to you or if you have a really good relationship with them, you can put them closer and you can put them in a smaller circle. Or if they're something that you think is like bad or not good for your life, you can put kind of far away or so you can just whatever you think it looks like, you can.
All right. So like the ones that are bad, drag them far away.
If that's how you want to put it, then yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and now I'm going to make a couple different lines so we can connect these to your world. So one line means that it is okay or it's average and like a connection with you. A squiggly line means that it's bad, and then 2 lines means that it's really strong and positive in your life. So let's go ahead and look at these. So you put your kids down here. How would you say that is in your life?
I would say it's average.
Okay. And what makes you say that your relationship with them is average or okay?
Well, it's an average relationship. Like, there's fights and stuff, but that's part of the average way of having a relationship with your kids. Like, they disagree with you or with themselves. They cause arguments. So it's just normal, but at the end of the day, we all get along and we love each other.
Yeah. Okay, well, Is that something that you would like to strengthen, or are you happy with where that is right now?
I would like to strengthen it, obviously, because I feel like there's always room for improvement in relationships, whether like especially with your kids. So, it's an average, but it can always be better.
Okay. And you also put your work down here. So, what kind of relationship would you say you have with your work?
I would say, bad. I feel like I could have more like enjoy work better if I were doing what I love. But work pays the bill, so I can't really complain about that. But it's just work.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you know what's important, that providing for your family is something that's important to you.
Yeah.
And you know how to make the sacrifices for that. Okay, so you also put after school activities. What could you describe that a little bit for me?
Oh yeah, it's just like taking kids to soccer practice and their swimming lessons and piano and guitar and stuff like that. So that's definitely a stressor, but it's something that is for the kids' best interest. So I try to make it work, but it's definitely something that does stress me out because after school you have to keep on top of them and make sure they're doing these things to get better. So
yeah,
it's definitely something stressful.
Okay, so what kind of line would you like to put with that one?
I guess bad, but
okay. And your husband. So could you describe that relationship for me a little bit?
That's definitely something another stressor because I feel like he doesn't try as hard. Isn't really there as much. So I'm stuck with the kids, and that involves more stress on my behalf because it's just adding a lot to my plate, and just taking them after school, their after school activities and just work and all this other stuff. So it's definitely he adds a lot more stress by not helping me out, which I would much appreciate it.
Yeah. So what kind of line would you put for that?
Bad.
Bad.
Improvement.
So is that something that you said you would like to improve?
Yes.
Would you be interested in maybe setting up sessions where both of you could attend so you could kind of talk about this together?
That sounds great.
And something that maybe he could support you in this journey of trying to cope and deal with your drug and alcohol use?
That would be amazing.
Okay, so maybe we can talk to him later on and we can set up something with him too.
Okay.
Okay. And I see down here you put your drugs and alcohol a little farther away.
Yes.
Okay, would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Can we touch back on the 2 lines that was about?
That is like a really strong and positive relationship in your life.
Okay. Yeah, the drugs and alcohol, obviously bad part of my life.
Okay. And you put friends. Do you have a lot of friends that are really close to you, or what does your friend group look like?
Yeah, I would say that they're like my strength in my life right now. Cause, I feel like you always have to have like a group of friends that really have your back.
Yeah,
and they definitely do. And whenever I'm going through something rough, I always have them to fall back on. If all else fails. So with a stressful life, I feel like I need a good pair of friends. So definitely something strong and positive in my life.
Okay, so that's 2 lines. Okay, so if we look at this eco map, you can definitely see that you do have a couple of bad things in your life going on right now, but you sound really positive about your husband and about your drug and alcohol use, that's something that you could definitely improve and something that you would really like to improve. And also you have your friends and your kids that you put were good relationships, and I think it's just important, like as we go into planning some goals, to remember that you do have these support groups with you whenever you do feel like you're having trouble, or whenever I can't be there, like when we are in our sessions or anything. So we'll go ahead and keep this to the side, and we will remember that as we're making your goals. And now I wanted to talk to you about SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. And what this means is that we are going to make a goal regarding your drug use, and just a goal you have for that in general, whether that's getting help or just something you want to see changed. And then we're just going to break it down to where we can just kind of make that more achievable for you.
Mhm.
So we'll go ahead and start with the S, which is specific. And what kind of goal do you have in mind?
Like I said before, I want to eventually just let go of alcohol and drugs altogether. That's my specific goal.
Okay. So we could say stop drug and alcohol use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And measurable. So this would mean like, what specific steps are you going to take within 6 months or a year, and how often? So like going to Alcohol's Anonymous once a week, or meeting with a support group twice a month, like something more that along the lines of what you could do right now to make this goal happen.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to sign up with some groups and just get help and have people that are going through the same thing as I am to help me be accountable, and
Mhm.
I help them as well be accountable for that. So definitely sign up for some AA groups and meet up with people who want to also improve their life.
Is this something you would like to do once a week or once every other week?
Oh, once a week, that would be great.
Okay, so we can say once a week. Meet up, meet with a support group. For a year, 6 months, 2 years.
I think I'll start with 6 months.
Start with 6 months? Okay.
From there.
Okay. And the next one is achievable. What makes this goal achievable for you?
Just hearing other people's, testimonies and seeing other people's improvements. It makes me feel like I can also achieve my goals as well.
All right. And how is this goal relevant for you?
Can you explain that?
So, relevant would be like drug and alcohol abuse is something that you struggle with. So, this is relevant because it would help aid in achieving your goal, stopping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like it's relevant to me because obviously I want to stop for my kids, and hopefully when I achieve that goal, it can be relevant to someone else that I can help them, achieve their goals as well.
Okay. And time based, we kind of already answered this one, but so you said that in 6 months from now, you want to revisit this goal and see where you are then?
Yes.
Okay. So we will give this goal 6 months. All right. So right now, we have a goal set up to stop your drug and alcohol use, and you will achieve that by meeting with the support group once a week for 6 months, and then in 6 months we'll come back here and we'll kind of talk about that more and see how that looks, right? Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, it looks like everything's there.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about these support groups, just so that way you have a little more information about them. So with Alcohol's Anonymous, they have big, larger group sessions, and then they also have like sponsors later on in the program where you can meet up just one-on-one. And is that something you'd be interested in, or do you think that it'd be more beneficial to just stay in the big group the whole time?
I feel like a mix of both would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Just to hear other people's experiences and share my own experience too. But if there's something that I want to talk more personally about, I would prefer a one-on-one session.
And as for the drug and alcohol use, do you feel like there are different programs to where you can go away for a couple of weeks at a time as kind of like a rehab or like a cleansing? Is that something, I know you have kids, so that would be more difficult, but is that something that you would like to look into, or are you more concerned about local options?
It would definitely be something nice to look into, just to get away from everything, because everything else in my life does cause me stress. So it would be a good way to see how I would react to no stress and help me get better.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely get you some more information about those.
Mhm.
And I know that you said that you wanted to bring your husband in here eventually so he can kind of become more of a support for you. Um, is that something that do you think he would be interested in?
Hopefully he would. It was something that we have to talk about, of
Mhm.
course. So I'm hoping he would be more supportive and he would actually come at least once, just to hear
Yeah.
other people's opinion, or like not opinion, but guidance and advice.
And I want to go ahead and revisit what you said about when I asked what would kind of get in the way of these goals. And you mentioned that just everyday stress.
Mm-hmm.
And could you clarify that a little bit for me of what this everyday stress would look like for you?
Just being with the kids and taking them to their after school activities, and everything falls onto me. So not having someone to help me really causes stress, and work on top of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just everyday things like that bring on to the stress. So
Yeah.
it makes me want to fall back and just find an outlet, an escape from that.
Well, I think it's awesome that you have the strength to be able to handle and juggle all of these different stressors in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to know that you don't have to do it all alone, that there are different groups within the school that could help you with these. And is that something that you have ever looked into?
Yeah, it's something I've looked into, like having a babysitter, like someone to help me after school, but I haven't found anyone that, has stuck around a long time to, trust someone with my kids
Yeah.
like that. So it's definitely something that I'm still looking forward to process, but hopefully I find someone soon to be able to help me out with that.
Now, I know that a lot of schools have different carpool groups
Mhm.
when kids live close to each other. Is that something that would help you, even just to where they could drop the kids off at your house or in after school activities with kids that have similar activities?
Oh, I've never thought about that, but it's something to look into. So yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, so if those stressors were kind of helped with other people in your life, do you think that these goals would be more manageable?
Definitely. I feel like if I had more of a support system and someone to
Mhm.
help me, it would definitely take off of my stress from every day. So yeah.
Okay, so right now, if we had a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not very confident and 10 being extremely confident, where would you say you are on achieving these goals right now?
Right now, like about a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty strong number.
Okay.
And where would you like to be on the scale?
I would like a 9.
A 9?
Yeah.
What kind of steps do you think that you could take to reach a 9?
Like you said, finding someone to help me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would be a big step. Seeking some help with my kids and their after school activities would be a lot of help. And I guess just finding a different hobby and, taking up exercise or something to relieve that stress,
Mm-hmm.
and finding a good outlet to, let go of all that stress that's in my life. And getting counseling with my husband would be a good thing as well to help me in our relationship, so I can have someone to fall back on as well.
Okay. So to me, it sounds like that right now you are very confident in achieving these goals, but you know that everyday life does get in the way and that sometimes it is difficult to achieve even the smaller things that you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds that you have a really good idea of different hobbies that you could get into and different ways that you could get support. But right now, it sounds like that the real problem that you're having is just finding that support.
Yes.
Okay. Um, is there anything else you would like to add to this?
I think we touched everything.
Okay, and I just had a couple of questions before as we get ready to close.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you have struggled with since you were younger, or is this something that has recently been brought up by an event or certain stress?
I feel like it's always been something that since I was younger, I'm the oldest, so
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the one taking care of my younger siblings. So I feel like that stress is, being I've been carrying it since I was younger, and making
Mm-hmm.
sure I'm doing everything well so that my siblings have someone to look up to. So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something that's it's been stressing me since I was throughout my upbringing. So yeah.
And is this something that um, I know a lot of families maybe that is this something that was in your family, a history of drug and alcohol use, or is this something that is new to you and your family?
No. I've seen drug abuse, or like I've seen my uncles and my aunts also engage into drugs and alcohol, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's been part of our family. And I've noticed that when they're stressed, they engage in that activity as well. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's something that I picked up on, and I saw like as a safe outlet for me, but it's not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you cope with seeing this when you were younger in your family?
I brushed it off. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that they're adults, they know what they're doing, so I didn't really question it.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, I just throughout seeing that, I feel like it's influenced me one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. And so it is something that you have seen in your family before,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something. Is this something that you don't want your kids to be a part of
Yeah,
when
for
they're older?
sure. Yeah, I don't want them to think that it's okay to turn to drugs whenever you're stressed or something. Like I've seen with my family members, like I thought that was okay. They're adults, they know what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing. And a lot of times we are adults, but we don't know what we're doing. So I wouldn't want my kids to be exposed to that and to thinking
Yeah.
that that's how go about relieving stress or dealing with complications in life.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you do definitely have your kids in mind and
Mm-hmm.
what's best for them. And that's something that a lot of parents don't have when they're dealing with this problem. And I just think it's awesome that you do have that mindset. But I wanted to go ahead and just kind of talk about what we went over today.
Okay.
So we did make the eco map, and you put down a couple of different support systems. And I know that you mentioned in our last session that your friends do have kids also that are around your kids' age.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe even looking to your friend group that you've already found as a support, maybe as a way, as a carpool group or some kind of after school support.
Mm-hmm.
That way, while you're looking for a babysitter or a nanny, that is something that you could turn to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you talked about your husband, how you would really like to see him on board with this and with your healing and your getting help. And after our session today, we can go ahead and I'll let you talk to him and then just let me know if he would like to come into our next session. And maybe even just sit in. He doesn't even have to talk, just kind of going over what we've talked about. And we can go ahead and revisit our SMART goals. So you said that you wanted to stop your drug and alcohol use as a big main goal.
Yes.
And that you would like to start meeting once a week with a support group, and you would like to do that for about 6 months. So that way we can come back and revisit and see how progress is going. And you think that this would be achievable by just listening to others and hearing people's stories of how they have coped and they have dealt with this issue.
Yeah.
And it's relevant, obviously, because you would like to stop using drugs in the long term. But is there anything else that maybe another support group you thought of or any other coping methods? I know that you mentioned exercise.
Yeah, I was also like thinking about starting to go back to church and finding a support group there, not only for me but for my kids as well, so they can have a good influence to their childhood and stuff like that. So I definitely want to go back and revisit church and give that another chance, not only for my sanity but for my kids as well.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of churches do offer support groups for people dealing with drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a church that you used to go to? I know that you said that you did at one time go to church.
Yeah, I want to revisit a childhood church of mine, and get back in touch with the people there, and have my kids see that, that nice aspect of another family, an extended family, the church family. So, yeah, definitely, I want to revisit that.
Okay, so I will go ahead and make a note just on your ego map that maybe church is out here right now, and maybe you would. How would you put the line on that one? Just kind of okay and average, or
I feel like
you can also mix lines.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, I would go in between like okay and average, and yeah, just okay and average.
Just okay and average for now. Okay, so it sounds like you do have a church that you already have in mind that you would like to start going to.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe between now and our next session, you can go ahead and I can help you sign up for a support group, and then you can probably get one meeting in between now and our next session.
Okay.
And also, that will be 2 church days that you could also fit in between now and then.
Okay.
So, would it be okay if we set that as your goal for our next session?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Okay, and then we can kind of talk about and see where that takes us from there.
Mhm.
All right, well, is there anything else you would like to talk about today?
That's all. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. I'll see you again this time next week.
Yes. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.